I came to MAPS, actually to COPA, as the Director of Social Services in 1976, right out of college, and did that for about a year and a half. And then Josh Coburn, who was the director at the time, left, and I was appointed Executive Director of COPA.
COPA was at a point where they had a storefront operation. They had basically very little money. It was all pretty much a volunteer effort, being an American essentially, who speaks Portuguese. I think my role was, helpful in making that transition.
Somehow I found an ad for an outreach worker to come to Somerville to work for SPAL. And I turned out to be their first full-time employee. Since you asked me about my Portuguese descent or non-Portuguese descent, they were discussing that in the interview when I interviewed with the board of directors. And when they asked me if I'm Portuguese, of Portuguese descent, they said, o neto do John vai ser português.
Was on the board of COPA for quite a while and was a past president. Was involved in the acquisition of the building that has since become the MAPS headquarters in Cambridge. And it was an interesting time.
East Cambridge was almost predominantly Portuguese. I mean, the Portuguese as a group constituted the largest ethnic group in the city at the time, and so we had a lot to do.
The city of Cambridge recognized how important the Portuguese community has been in, the growth of the city. And the Portuguese population has been historically very successful.
The Portuguese community of Cambridge and Somerville seemed to be emerging from not being that visible. I mean, everyone knew the community was there, but the community didn't have many of the things that it needed to move forward.
Healthcare was a big issue because you can't get informed consent from a patient if they don't speak your language. So we did a lot of advocacy plus hands-on translation work of providing our staff to do that.
My fondest memory really is of a couple of people, but one stands out most of all. Her name is Mary C. Roderick. She came to the United States from the Azores. There was a program called the Retired Senior Volunteers Program, and Mary volunteered, and she came in and she just was a rock there.
This fledgling community organization called COPA was beginning to be a voice in the community and petitioning for basically things that the community was entitled to but wasn't receiving.
We had a team of people working for COPA. We needed a place to work out of. So the community, with a bunch of people, leaders in the community getting behind it, put up some money and were guarantors for buying the building at 1046.
I came in just shortly after that was bought, and we gutted the place. It was a lot of work. There were heat problems, there were security problems. The budget was low, and we had a minimal staff. We had maybe about 6 or 7 people.
There were some people who felt that the idea of buying a building was too ambitious, couldn't succeed. But there were enough of us that felt strongly enough that we knew that we weren't going to let it fail. We were going to do whatever it took to make it a success.
I feel a debt of gratitude, that I was able to participate in this, one transitional period. That it was, a very meaningful part of my life. I'm
immensely proud of the work that's been done since. I did a lot, and I think I took the organization to a level. I wanted to make sure that if I left, that there would be somebody competent enough and interested enough and committed enough to take over the organization and take it to the next level. Paul's done that, and that's very heartening to me.
It's building on the shoulders of the people who come before, and we each, I think, have our time to do what we can for the agency, and then the next person comes along and moves the stone a little further up the hill.